Yeah, thanks, Tim. And thanks to Share Cafe. Looks like my video is taking a while to get started. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, all good, mate. Don't worry about the camera.
Okay, great. TNG has been around on the boards for a while, but we're reaching a point now. It's really a transformational time for the company. The stars are aligning with various company-specific milestones, some government ones, and you cannot deny the massive tailwinds we're getting from the market with respect to critical minerals, which are evident at the moment. If we can turn to the overview of our highlights. This is meant to be actually a one-page summary you guys can take away with you if you need to, and outline some of the key investment highlights and why you should invest in TNG. The critical minerals sector is one that has really come to the fore on the back of some geopolitical concerns that have been going on over the last sort of 12 months. When you add on top of that, you layer on top of that the energy transition thematic, you see that there's just a massively supportive environment from a government perspective to get this project up. That has resulted, we've had Northern Territory major project status for quite a while, but recently been awarded federal major project status. We've also been included in the federal government's recently published Critical Minerals Processing Roadmap, which was released in January. Now, all this government support is fantastic. And let me tell you, it certainly doesn't guarantee it, but it certainly doesn't hurt when we're negotiating our final approvals with the Northern Territory government around land tenure up in Darwin, or when we are, talking to government support agencies such as NAIF on project funding. So having government support across the board is fantastic. In terms of geology, look, Australia's blessed in natural resources. Everyone knows that. The ore body that we have at Mount Peak is world class. It is enormous. It is easy to mine. Low strip ratio. It is just mining 101. I won't even mention the mining any further. What is really interesting is when you see the project location of Mount Peak, it's kind of in the middle of Australia, in the middle of nowhere, and you go, oh, geez, that must be far away from things. When you look at it down on the local level, though, it is absolutely uniquely and ideally located, because we are within spitting distance of the most unutilised piece of rail infrastructure in Australia, the Adelaide to Darwin railway line. In addition, we're very close to an existing gas pipeline, which provides very cheap power. So in terms of what we want, we could not be better located. We're very pleased with it. And similarly, when we rail our concentrate up to Darwin, we are in what is called Middle Arm, which has just been recognised by Infrastructure Australia as a priority investment area for infrastructure in the Northern Territory. So there are a lot of positives coming out from an infrastructure perspective that are not immediately understandable unless you have a good look at it. The next consideration on is our technology. And I'm going to quickly just say that this is the absolute killer investment proposition for TNG. We take a vanadiferous titanium magnetite deposit. That means it's a magnetite deposit that contains titanium and contains vanadium. Traditionally, every other vanadium producer globally only takes a third of that value. It's not even a third. They take the vanadium out of it and they throw away the iron and they throw away the titanium. What TNG's unique and patented technology does is allows us to capture 3 high-quality revenue streams out of that one tonne of ore, and that means not only benefits from diversification, therefore you get better coverage on debt ratios and things like that, but similarly you actually end up in the good end of the cost curve because you can share costs across 3 different types of revenue streams. The business has a fantastic set of partners involved in the development, including SMS Group out of Germany, who are a world-leading engineering business. The reason that SMS is just crucial is because they have agreed, and this is quite unheard of these days, they've agreed to provide a process guarantee on our Taiwan process. That process guarantee will involve both throughput, i.e., the volume through the plant is as expected, as well as product specifications, to make sure that the product coming out of it is. Sorry, Tim, could we just go back 2 slides? I'm still on the first one. I'm going to spend most time on that. Yeah, one more. Yep. The process guarantee is fundamental for our debt financing and is brilliant. The strong ESG credentials, look, every company on the ASX boards these days is publishing ESG creds. Vanadium is known as the green metal because of its significant ability to be used in renewable applications. I'll talk a bit more about that later. Offtake is secured for the project with globally leading partners. And from a development status, we're actually a lot further advanced than people realise. Almost completed. So BFS is in the back door, in the back window a lot. We are coming up and have almost finished the front end engineering design. And then, we go into sort of construction activities. Admittedly, the labs in Germany have been shut because of COVID. That is causing us a few delays. If we can just go, thanks to the next slide. This is where I highlighted the position of Mount Peak. The key thing out of this is we have decided to do our processing here in Australia, in Darwin. We did do some options analysis, looking at putting that plant internationally, as other competitors have done in sort of similar sort of mining / processing industries. We're pleased to say that we've elected to process in Australia. We think there's some fantastic benefits to doing that. One of those benefits is the thanks and support from the Australian government, which is one of the Australian government's policy objectives to get processing happening in Australia. Next slide, please. Here we show the location and the infrastructure. So you can see there that the railway line is within about 100 clicks. The gas pipelines in about 20, 30 clicks. We do have water. There is an airstrip. So whilst we are remote, actually we are very well serviced. Next slide. The Mount Peak ore body is simple. It's open cut and effectively at surface. The massive size of it, 160 million tonne resource, more than underpins our initial 37-year mine life on our project. That said, the design life of our processing facility up in Darwin will be in excess of 37 years. Our expectation there is that we'll undertake some exploration activities, and we're also looking at some other feedstock sources to pump through that Darwin facility. What does that mean? It means that facility will not close in any of our lifetimes. Secondly, gives you the opportunity to build another one next door, similar to an LNG plant building a second and third train. That is the ability to do with the Taiwan. Our plants are quite modular. Next slide. We go up to Darwin, where we are located in Middle Arm. The only thing to note here is that we are net zero water discharge into that harbour. That's an important thing from an environmental and social perspective. And we've got a lot of kudos from the government for making sure that we do not discharge water into port. On slide 7, it shows a diagram of the plant. Right up the top, you can actually see just in the distance, that is the Inpex LNG plant, to give you a bit of relativity. Slide 8 is the next slide. Yeah, this is the crucial thing. Every other project that produces a vanadium as a primary production, they're on the left. They get about $115 per tonne of titanium magnetate concentrate. We get about 700. It is kind of the difference between your car 40, 50 years ago and the fuel consumption you get there versus the efficiency you get today. It is a much more environmentally friendly and much more profitable processing route to do our Taiwan process, and that's 100% owned by TNG. Slide 9 runs through the rail logistics. Look, the beauty of this is the most underutilised bit of rail infrastructure in Australia, and therefore actually, it is there's some good economics for putting ore on this track. Something that a lot of people don't know is that one of the major users of that facility, of that rail line, is actually going offline in the next couple of years. So that the massive amount of manganese that currently goes up that line will be winding down, and therefore the government is super keen to make sure there's another baseload user on that line. Next slide, please. Our products. What is key here is each of our products will trade above benchmark pricing because of the quality that we produce it at. our iron fines is basically pure iron. The vanadium, because we use a leach process as opposed to a roasting process, means we can produce an extremely high quality product. And the good thing about that is that means we can go into the premium end of the market, which is in vanadium electrolyte. On slide 11, with project financing, I'm very pleased with the work that KPMG has done. I must admit, KPMG from a shop perspective probably would have been the first logo that I would have chosen for this role. But since coming on board, I am extremely pleased with the work that KPMG are doing, and KfW out of Germany as well, the German connection there through SMS and into German Export Credit Agency financing has been fantastic. Slide 12 is the approval status. Look, we've ticked most of the boxes. The environmental approval on our Darwin facility, we've just had a supplement from the EIS through public consult. That'll be wrapped up shortly. And we are currently in direct negotiations with the Chief Minister's Office in the Territory around sorting out all the last bits and pieces. It has been a busy year. You can see on slide 13. I actually won't focus on that. I'd prefer to focus on the last slide, slide 14, which is what's next. We complete our feed. We complete the last approvals. And then the board will make a final investment decision along with financing. It's the transformational year of TNG, and we are certainly taking advantage of the positive macro factors in the market around critical minerals that we're benefiting from. Turn over to you. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Jonathan. A couple of questions here. You recently joined TNG. What attracted you to the company, given the company's been around for a while, as has the project?
Yeah. Look, what some people may know, certainly being on HotCopper, is that I actually financed the last vanadium project in Australia to get up and running, which was about 10 years ago. And part of that role was it was my job to look at vanadium projects around the world and who might be a competitor. And I always said there were two to watch. One was Largo Resources, which had the Maracás project in Brazil that got up. That's $1 billion market cap. And the other was TNG. And the reason was, getting back to that slide 8, it is the only one in the world that can actually realize 100% of the value from its ore. And when it does that, it will fundamentally change the industry cost curves for those commodities. Now, it has taken a while to get there because doing new technology and new processing and innovation, it takes time. It's kind of like a overnight success story, 10 years in the making. I'm pleased to say that they're now at the point where the approvals are getting there, almost done. The feed is almost done. The positive factors in the market are just unbelievable. And we will get this project financed. I'm very pleased about it.
A couple of technical questions here from an analyst or two. As the feed studies have progressed, are you seeing significant changes in estimated capital cost and operating costs for the Mount Peak project? And what part of the project is seeing the change?
Yeah, look, overall, broadly, no. It's sort of in line. The one area that I would point to, and I mentioned this, is the net zero discharge of water into the port in Darwin. We did some public consultations, and there was some, in one of the previous iterations, we did have a little bit of discharge, benign, going into the port. And there was a preference from the community that did not occur. So we have changed the process flow to include a water recycling plant to make sure there's zero discharge. That comes with a bit of capital. Funnily enough, though, that recycling plant will actually generate some commercial opportunities for some of the byproducts that come out of the water plant. So a little bit of change there, but broadly going to plan.